It is time for Washington Football Live. Julie Donaldson, Santana Moss here with you. So it has been raining throughout the night and throughout the morning. It stopped for the moment. The field is wet, but the players still going to be coming out here and practicing outside. Practice was pushed back to 9:30. Does it matter to you if it's raining or if it's not? If the field is wet, how does that impact
Well,
practice?
personally, I've always shared with you, I hated the unnecessary weather, I call it. You know, being from Florida, we understand hurricane season is always in the summer, so you had to deal with this. But up here, for some odd reason, Coach Gibbs called this Washington football weather. You know, he told us we didn't have a bubble at all. So from his tenure all the way until we didn't get one until Shanahan got here. So we had to play through this. So these guys need these kind of practices, and I'm pretty sure they're not looking forward to it.
I mean, if you always are practicing in perfect conditions and you go into a game that it is pouring rain, like this has to benefit somehow, some way.
It definitely makes sense. You know, every Friday we had wet ball days where he would literally get a bucket and drop the balls into water. So, you know, most coaches, you know, put you in those different elements or make practice like something that you might experience throughout the year, and it only can make you better.
All right, well, like I said, it's not raining right now, but it is expected to be throughout the day. Practice is at 9:30. I had the opportunity yesterday to chat with Fred Smoot. You really should have been around for that interview.
The mouth of the South.
The mouth of the South. So that's exactly where we're starting our show. Smack with Fred Smoot. How did that used to go? Smoot Smack?
Smoot Smack. Yeah, it started early now. I started that in college. I started a website where I used to go talk trash to other players in the SEC, and it took out from there.
You know, I feel like that was my rookie hazing when I came to this town 10 years ago, is I had to say Smoot Smack Snacks and 10 times fast, and I could never get it out. But I love talking smack with you, Smoot. So let's do it, okay? Here we are with a new head coach, Jack Del Rio taking over the defense, Chris Harris taking over that secondary room. First off, what do you think about all the coaching changes?
You know what? I really love it. I haven't stopped talking about it. You know, I can understand how you can come into a building and you have to have respect for somebody that did your job. Everybody in the park right now played football, from Coach Del Rio to Coach Rivera. It's a earned respect from the players there. You know your coach been in your position before. So when it's fourth quarter and he tell you, hey, we need to do it this way, you trust him in a whole different manner. And I can just feel the energy coming from over the park. It's totally different, and I'm excited about it.
You know, Harris says that in the secondary, he wants guys to not just be a cornerback, just a safety, not a free safety, just a strong safety, but he wants them all to learn each other's positions. If you were in that room, how would you take that?
I would love it, because we had the same situation when Jerry Gray was our head coach, when it was me, Sean Springs, LaRon Landry, Sean Taylor. We had to play everything. We had to learn how to learn everybody's responsibility. But I could tell on the offseason they really was looking at that, because Kendall Fuller plays everything. He plays inside, outside. He plays safety. He's your number one guy beside London Collins back there. So at the end of the day, he showed me that they wanted versatility in the background, and they wanted everybody to be able to run, tackle, and catch. That's the difference. Some cornerbacks just like to cover, some just like to tackle, but you get the guys that like to do a little bit of everything, and they interchangeable parts.
So you like Fuller coming back here. I know he's really excited for that. Where do you think he's best, though, lined up in the backfield?
I love Fuller coming back. You know, the one thing about free agency that's hard, that people never account for, is you got to get used to the locker room. And it takes a year or two for you to get used to your new teammates. He's reincorporating himself back into a locker room that he knows everybody in. And he's coming off a championship team. So those ways will leak out to his teammates. And, you know, when I look at Fuller play, he's a lockdown on the outside. He's very good in the inside. You know, him and Moreland, they'll be interchangeable in the outside, but he can also play some safety. I just want him everywhere. I think he's a situational player. On goal line, look for him to be the corner of the safety, because he can cover tight ends also. So I think as a coach, he's that Swiss Army knife. I use him when I need to.
That's exactly what Coach said. He had like 3 or 4 different positions for him back there. Like, so Fabian Moreau could easily be on the outside of him. He kind of switched over a little bit last season. He played outside in college, but it was kind of stuck inside, felt a little misplaced. Where do you see him, and kind of what can we expect out of his growth now in this season?
Believe it or not, the last 6 games of the year, Fabian played on the outside majority of the time, and he was ranked one of the top cornerbacks in the league. We know in college when he came out, he was slotted to be a first rounder. He has the covering ability. I think we kind of put him in a bad place when we made him play nickel. It wasn't a natural position for him. He wasn't good with the guys having a two-way go. But on the outside, I'm seeing a different type swagger. I'm seeing a different type confidence. I'm seeing him go get the ball. I can always tell when a player is happy. And when a player is happy, you get the plays out of them. You get the best out of them. And I think Fabian Monroe is happy on that freeway on the outside.
Yeah, I asked him about that, and he said, look, he's like, you just kind of have to do where the coaches put you and play there. But he had to wait patiently for that to open up for him. So I'll be curious to see how they decide to use him in this secondary. You mentioned that slot position, the nickel, and you mentioned Jimmy Moreland. If I talk to any player, and I talk to you, Springs, or any of them about, what you can expect out of him, they say he just has this knack for the ball. He's going to make plays. We know during training camp he had interception after interception, but they didn't come during the season. But he says that that's going to be something he'll focus on this year and should be able to fall once he's got a little extra practice under his belt, another season under his belt.
Yeah, when you think about Jimmy Marley, I want people to understand he has that Terrell Buckley, that D'Angelo Hall, that Dre Bly. Some corners we have to go find balls. Other corners, the ball finds them. Jimmy has that knack for the ball. And yes, a couple times last year, he was an inch away from this play, an inch away from this play. But that comes with growth because playing in the inside is not as easy as people think. You got a receiver with two-way goals. He has run responsibility. He has to read the tackle. Is he heavy-handed? Is he light-handed? I think that all caught him off guard last year. I think it was kind of hard for him to process at first. But now, I think everything's going to happen naturally, especially with a guy like Landon Collins behind him, somebody that's going to keep yapping in his ear. And I'm looking for Jimmy to be more voiceful. The nickel has to talk. The nickel has to give out keys. The nickel has to be almost like a point guard back there. So I'm looking for Jimmy to be more voiceful this year. And I think he was thinking last year, which he should have been doing. But I think this year he's just going to go out and play.
Yeah, a lot of those rookies got more time than they would normally have on another team. And you can already see, just talking through a few of them, like the growth, the confidence that's coming in because now they've got that season, that time under their belt. What about some other guys that are coming in? Ronald Darby, where are you feeling with him?
Well, actually, I when Ronnie Darby was coming out of school at Florida State, I actually trained him up here in Ashburn a couple times. I think Ronnie Darby has played Super Bowl ball. He's been on a top-notch defense. I think he's one of those guys that nobody's talking about that if he contributes and he gets back to what he can do, he can make this defense special. It's two guys that I think has that capability, and that's Ronald Darby and Reuben Foster. If they can come in and they can get back to form, I'm telling you now, and yes, you heard it here, Smoot Smack Fred Smoot said it, this is a top 10 defense in the NFL. If those two wild cards can get back to where they was, and the only thing that was hurting Darby, he just couldn't stay healthy. That was the main thing about Darby. But his play, he played some top-notch ball at Philadelphia, and I'm looking for him to rebound. Because anytime I always tell people, why is the player playing? Well, he's playing to reestablish himself as a top corner in this league. A lot of people on this defense, they playing for different reasons, and I like that. Different reasons and motivation.
Yeah, I've heard that he could be one of the best corners out there if he's healthy and he can get back to that. But that's why Coach brought a lot of these guys in on one-year deals. Okay, let's go prove it. Simeon Thomas is one of those as well that comes over from Seattle. And if you don't mention him, the coaching staff will bring him up. Why?
First of all, he's 6'2.5", 6'3". He brings length to the room. And I tell people all the time, you can't make up for length, because the one thing length can do is get you out of trouble. All right, because if he's ever beat this, when he'll put that reach up there and he'll start to make plays. And he's a guy that played with Pete Carroll. The one thing Pete Carroll focuses on is his defensive backs. And he can find them and he can mold them. And Simeon is one of those guys. Now the question is, where do you put him? Does he play corner? Does he play a strong safety? Does he get some free safety in? Troy Ackley is a guy that I've watched grow over the last couple of years that I think going to shock people as he challenges for the free safety job. So where do you play Simeon is the question.
How much are these guys loving being able to play behind that defensive line?
You gotta love it. Like we never had that luxury. We had some good individual linemen, but never could I say I played with a group like this since college. You got to understand, when you're a defensive back and you have a line like that, the quarterback doesn't have that much time to make his decisions. And usually quarterbacks that's uncomfortable, that's when they make mistakes. Well, the defensive line, the front is going to always make them uncomfortable. You're talking about Chase Young. You're talking about Sweat. You're talking about John Allen. And this is what you need to understand. Chase Young unlocks all of them. John Allen has been double-teamed ever since he's been to the NFL. Matt Ioannidis has been double-teamed ever since he's been to the NFL. They're going to see constantly one-on-ones. I'm telling you right now, it will be a lot of uncomfortable quarterbacks in the NFC East.
All right, there you go. Smoot Smack says this defense is one to contend with. Thank you, Fred.
Oh, anytime, Julie, because you know you got your version. I got the truth. I got the truth.
Always. Love ya.
That is the warm up as we are getting going. You know, if I started my day, obviously we did that yesterday. If I started my day every day with Fred Smoot, I think I'd just be pumped, jazzed, and ready to go.
Smoot gonna have me up here in tears. I can't listen to Smoot and be serious right afterwards.
Next time we bring Smoot on the show, you have to stick around
Look,
for that.
that's gonna be something there that you might have to beep out, because Smoot gonna have some stories, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have some too. But no, it's always fun talking to Smoot.
Folks, basically, we're saying we're going to bring that to you. We will one day get Smoot and Santana together. Coming up this season, though, we have a really great digital series we are bringing to you. Very excited to tell you and show you about our Unfiltered series. There are 7 different series that are going to be going on this. We have the game where, Tana, we're going to be breaking down the X's and the O's with the player, really cool graphics, video, shots, and all that stuff. So we're going to get really inside the game on that. Then you have the park. Everybody wants to know behind the scenes look. Like, you're used to it. This is what you're running around the whole time, but people don't get to see that. So I think it'd be cool to be able to give them inside look into that.
Definitely would be a great look. And I'm letting you know ahead of time, I want dibs on one of those.
All right.
Let me know.
You can come in on whatever you want. We also have the lab, which is going to be the Madden competitors. Do you play Madden?
I'm not a big Madden guy.
Okay, well,
I'm not a big video game person, period.
Well, we'll save that one aside from you as well. The Life, where we're going to have a lot of pop culture. We're going to have fan interaction, kind of like really be cool with that. The Fit, fashion. We can bring you on the fashion part, you know. Show what the guys' kind of style is as well. We also have the Legacy, because we have so many great players and alumni in this area. We're going to have them sit down and talk and share stories of their days. And then also the Beat, where local reporters can get in and chat about everything. So we'll be giving you some of those. I think it'd be fun to bring you into it.
That's going to be great, man. That's something different, and I'm pretty sure the fans will look forward to this, being able to have something different to view about what's going on around our organization.
Unprecedented access for you folks. That is what we are trying to bring you each and every day as we get up and running here in this new era of Washington football. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the defense, and we're putting the spotlight on Jack Del Rio. Just what does he bring to this team? We'll take you a little bit about his story there, and have a little fun diving into his path to the Washington football team.
This summer, get back in the driver's seat. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Like the versatile HR-V or the fun-to-drive CR-V. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the CR-V at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
Washington Football Live, and today practice has been pushed back to 9:30. Media members are starting to come in. They will still be practicing on the field. It's a nice little drizzly rain going outside, but you got to get used to those conditions. Offense or defense? Does it matter if it's raining outside? Does one team like one side like the
defense loves it because they know that the balls are going to be coming in slick and wet, and we have to pound the ball, so they're going to be up in the box.
All right, so the defense might have the advantage today. Let's start right there with the defense. This is the X's presented by Pepsi, and we have to talk about the leader of this team. That is Jack Del Rio. So he played as a linebacker. He was drafted in the 3rd round, 68th overall by the New Orleans Saints. He was awarded the NFL All-Rookie honors, and then then with the Kansas City Chiefs, traded for a 5th-round pick. He was claimed off of waivers by the Dallas Cowboys and as a free agent signed to the Minnesota Vikings. In 1992, was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. He led the team in tackles for 3 consecutive seasons and selected to a Pro Bowl. He finished his career in Miami. Santana, if we talk about his career stats, 160 games, over 1,000 tackles, 13 sacks, 13 interceptions, 14 fumble recoveries, and 2 TDs.
He did his thing in the 90s. If you really look him up and see where he was at, I think he had like a 5-year stretch where he had 100+ tackles. And he was a guy that been a lot of places and shows you that he can play in any system. So it's great to have that kind of leadership here because, like we're going to talk about today, those guys always, to me, panned out and fit well as coaches.
So when he finished playing, he did not walk away from the game as he decided coaching was his next path, right? His first coaching gig was with the Saints as strength and conditioning coach under Mike Ditka back in 1997. Then he moved over to the linebacker coach in 98. The year after that, he took the linebacking job with the Baltimore Ravens and partially credit for that 2000 Super Bowl champion defensive Ravens team.
They were stacked on that defense.
Weren't they? Man, you talk about defense wins championships. You were not getting anything on them that year.
I was a pup watching them in the Super Bowl.
That was my first year here. Oh, no, that was the second one. All right, 2001, defensive coordinator with the Carolina Panthers. In 2002, the defense ranked second only in total yards allowed. In 2003, he went to the Jacksonville Jaguars as the head coach. His first season, he went 5-11, my hometown. In 2004, he finished 9-7 with a second-ranked rush defense, 6th overall best defense, and then he was let go and fired in 2011. The year after that, he went to the Broncos as defensive coordinator, and then a few years later, he was with the Oakland Raiders as head coach. So there you go. He now brings all of that expertise to the Washington Football Club. And one of the things that they liked about him when they hired him is that he did have that head coaching experience, now taking on the defensive coordinator role. So here again, the X's presented by Pepsi. Santana, how important is it, do you think, to have that head coaching experience when you are taking on the coordinator role? Does the players kind of view that a little bit differently?
Oh, not necessarily. I think one of the things that you can always credit a coach, if he played the game, he have a little sweat equity in the game, then you view him a little differently that way. You know, the respect is going to be given. You can always assure that he's going to put you in the best situation because he's been in the fire before. But it doesn't necessarily have, matter if you was a head coach or assistant coach. As long as you have something, to give us back about this game other than just X's and O's, we're going to always look at you and view you a little differently.
When you're a player and you say, okay, my coach played in the league, do you go and kind of like look up his numbers, his stats, kind of see how good he was?
You know what? That's a great question. I never did that. And I've had a lot of coaches that played this game and played in this league and played at a high level. Some of them automatically, but I never went out and looked at them. Like I said before, one of the things is given, whether you played or not, is the respect. You're going to give that guy respect. So regardless if he's a great player, as long as he's putting you in the right situation, you care less what he did.
But does he get the respect just because he played? Like, does that matter compared to maybe a coach that didn't play? Is that just kind of like more of a, hey, you're part of the brotherhood too?
Yeah, well, I find myself always sharing my experiences, and I played with a coach, 2 receiver coaches that I've had, actually played this game before and played at a high level, pro-wise. And one of the guys played with me, Keenan McCardell. So the respect is already given. You almost like that little brother almost still is like, man, I'm looking up to, because this is my coach. I remember him, especially, and Keenan was a guy that played in Jacksonville. So I grew up watching Keenan McCardell, then got a chance to play with him here. So you automatically give that guy that respect level and say, hey, this guy has a lot to share with me because he played at a high level in this league.
Now, what about if it comes to losing respect? Is it different when you have a player's coach?
I think it's one of those things that, like I said before, you're going to give a guy the respect initially because that's what you're told to do. That's what you should do. Every man should have that respect from the next man. But it could be easily lost if I can see that you're not, me and you're not on the same page. You're not putting me in the right situation. I've been in those shoes before, having coaches in this building where I just kind of went to say, hey, you know what, whatever he says, we do. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go out there and do what I have to do because I know he's not giving me, the proper, he's not putting me in the proper situation.
Well, certainly they would have a different understanding of the game than a coach who didn't play it. But, what about when it comes to offensive defense? Because I tend to think that, and maybe this is just me looking at a very surface level, but a lot of the head coaches or the coaches that are great seem to be come from the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it's odd because, I had to do a little research myself, and I went down the line, and I'm just thinking about coaches, and that I played under and coaches that I think highly of. And all the guys that I think highly of was defensive-minded coaches or played on the defensive side of the ball. So, and you know, it's I scratch my head about that to this day. Like, why is that? And I didn't come up with a proper answer for it, but it just seems odd if you look over the whole entire league. Whether they played the position or not, those defensive-minded coaches have seemed to be the ones that stood the test of time and brought championships to that ball club.
Well, they do say defense wins championships,
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
So maybe there is something to that
Absolutely
old adage.
right.
So Jack Del Rio played linebacker, defensive coordinator, head coach, defensive coordinator. We will see what he does with this defense. I know Ron Rivera likes that he doesn't have to micromanage. He can trust Del Rio with the defense. When we come back, though, we're going to take a look at Scott Turner since he is charged with taking over as offensive coordinator.
This summer, it's time to get back outdoors. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Enjoy the sunshine in the family-friendly Pilot or the rugged Passport. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the Pilot at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
On to the O's, presented by FedEx here on Washington Football Live. Julie Donaldson, Santana Moss. So we are now talking about offensive coordinator Scott Turner. This is his first full-time offensive coordinating position. Pretty young. Kevin O'Connell was here, but when they went through the interview process, many thought O'Connell had the best chance of staying here, but Rivera made the decision that he wanted to bring Turner with him, so he earned the job outright. But let's take a little bit of a look, Santana, about his path into where we are today. So his father, of course, is Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys that won 2 Super Bowls. Also head coached the Washington football team from 94 to 2000. So Scott, while his dad was here coaching, he played high school football, played quarterback at Oakton High School in Vienna. He played quarterback at UNLV, didn't start, had 5 completions in 5 games played. Now, he started his career under Ron Rivera in the first year when he was head coach in Carolina. Turner was the offensive quality control coach in 2011 to 12. In 13, he went to Cleveland as their wide receivers coach, while his dad there was the OC. So he'd have been managing you if you were on that team. All right.
Not in Cleveland, though.
Hey, your path takes you where it takes you. 2014, he became the quarterback coach in Minnesota under Mike Zimmer, and his dad was the offensive coordinator. Adrian Peterson told me that he's starting to remember the language from the offense from his days there, and it's starting to click for him. So there is a lot of similarities to what his dad did to what he is doing. In 2017, Washington, he was the offensive analyst for the University of Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. And then in 2018, Carolina quarterback coach under Rivera, so back with Rivera. And then he was promoted to offensive coordinator after Ron Rivera was fired of December 19th, that we all remember, because that was the Washington team that beat them in that game. And since Ron Rivera moved here, he decided through the interview process to bring Scott Turner with him. So this is his first time in the head full-time offensive coordinator position. Last season, you saw just a few games, so you weren't really entirely seeing in Carolina what his system would look like with his players kind of building that. Is there a bit of a learning curve for a coach and such for Turner, the same as it is for a player when coming into this position?
I'm sure it's a learning curve, for all of them. But, let's be honest. His dad coached this game at a high level. He eats, sleep, and football all his life. So at the end of the day, he knows what he's doing. And then he wore many hats. He wasn't just a guy that, he knows the whole entire, he's a quarterback coach. He's a receiver coach, quality control. He got a chance to come up and pretty much know the ins and outs of how to run an offense. So I have a lot of confidence when I hear a coach that has been in those many different spots, because you're not having to worry about, I've had a a coach that was a running back coach, and now he's a receiver coach. We stop block their entire practice, and I'm like, hold on, like this is what the running backs do. So just knowing that he's a coordinator now, and he has, you know, that Turner last name, and just knowing, you know, where he comes from, his background, he gives me a lot of confidence in what he can bring to this team.
You know, it would be easy to say that he gets this job because his dad is Norv Turner, but look, he you know, he didn't play in the NFL, as we were talking about Jack Del Rio and the respect he gets for that. But there's something about being around the game at that level in the NFL his entire life. I asked him, like, kind of during Corona, we were talking, I said, you know, what is it you like to do outside of football? And it's like, football. It's like, that's been his entire life. That's all he's really known. That has to factor into what he has seen at this level since he grew up in it.
Yeah, that's the family business. You know, one of the things that, you know, most kids want to do is be like dad. And if your dad knows football and that's his business, then pretty sure that, you know, 9 out of 10 times you're gonna that kid is gonna grow up and want to be a part of that business. So to know that he grew up under that, you know, it's just like Kyle Shanahan. It wasn't a coincidence that Kyle Shanahan made it to the Super Bowl last season. You know, he's been around that all his entire life. So when he got his opportunity, I knew when he was a, you know, receiver coach in Houston that he was going to be a great head coach someday. And he came here and was a fabulous offensive coordinator, and now he's doing big things in San Fran. So I'm looking forward to big things from Turner here.
What does it take for you to be able to say, you know what, all right, he didn't play the games, because you said that automatically kind of gives a little bit of respect to a coach that did, but to be able to say, okay, no, I can trust him and I respect him and I'm going to listen to that. What is it, how do you know, like, if the Turner walks in, that you can trust or not what he's doing?
It's all about how you communicate with the players. You know, you want to, you know, most great coaches understand that the communication is key. That's number one. If I'm going to get the best out of you, I have to be able to get it out of you when I speak first and foremost. And, you know, one of the things I find, you know, that it's easy to tell a player, you know, that I need this out of you, but to illustrate things and basically say, I'm going to show you what I need out of you. That's key too. You know, you want those players to understand their job, not just telling them what their job is. And I think that's one of the things that's how you win over players. You basically be one of those coaches that's going to be hands-on and say, I'm not going to just tell you what I need from you. I'm going to show you what I need from you. So therefore, when you out there and you don't give me what I need, then don't scratch your head or wonder why you're behind the next guy.
What about when it comes to players coaches? Do you like the players coach?
It varies. It varies, and it varies for a lot of reasons. You know, I'm good with a players coach that's going to lean and be on my side when I need a breaker here and there, but it's going to get the best out of me because he's going to demand the best from all of us, you know. But then that player coach that's going to come in and be giddy and be, hey, let me, know what you're doing after practice. Then that coach, 9 times out of 10, we're not winning no games behind that guy. So it definitely varies, and I've had a few players coaches, but, you know, the ones that I've had, they demanded the best out of the entire team, and they also gave us, you know, what players need, sometime a break here and there.
Pete Carroll, I think, would be kind of a good example of that.
If you had to look in the dictionary of player coaches, I think his picture would be up there.
And he has that respect as well. All right, let's go to playing a little game of over-under here on offense. And while you're at home, tweet us your answers. Let us know if you think we are right or wrong, or if we're playing a little bit more of a homer role in this, because I have a feeling that's the way that I'm going for this one, just to lean you into what I'm going to be doing. Here we go. Over-under as a whole. Total offensive yards, 4,400. Now, last year they had 4,395. I'm taking the over on this one.
I'm going over. I think out the gate, you know, you can expect more from just this offense as a whole. Just knowing that we're going to have our quarterback in place and we're not going to be sitting here talking about guessing this and that. And then the running back by committee, and then the receivers that we have, I believe we're going to put up some points and put up some yards.
If they were able to get that many offensive yards last season with the shuffle, with the firing of the coach, the changing of the offensive line, the rookie receivers in there, then this should be an easy over with those guys having a little bit more experience and under another season of Haskins really being able to grasp what it's like to be a quarterback in the NFL. How about over under total passing yards of 3,000? Last year they had 2,812.
Yeah, Haskins going to light it up. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there like that. I mean, the kid shows you tremendous arm speed, arm talent, period. You know, he can flick that ball with the best of them, and I'm just looking forward to big and better things. When a guy do what he did this entire offseason, mentally, physically, and come into camp and have all the, you know, the things that these other players are talking about, when your teammates are speaking highly of you like that, win for something good from this guy. So I'm looking forward to him going out there lighting it up.
I would say over. You saw the way that he started clicking last season as well, and they're saying that the ball is coming out different. He lost the weight. He's becoming much more emerging as a leader, so I would take the over on that. How about rushing yards? 1,600 over under. Last season, they were just shy of that, 1,583.
And we had a lot of things going on last season, and I believe AP showed it all of that. You know, he was a guy that we can really count on week after week. This year, I think already we can expect a running back by committee. You know, I just talked about that, and all those guys can go out there and get 400 yards apiece, however you want to, piece it together. But I do believe we should be over on that category because AP won 1,000 yards itself. So I'm just putting that out there.
He could, running back by committee, he's going to have to get the ball enough to be able to get there as well, and that is exactly what you're going to get. How about points total? 300. Last year they had 266.
I have to go under the points.
Oh.
I think the reason why I would go under with the points just because it's a young team, and initially we just spoke on the new coordinator situation. I don't want to toot his horn too much, so I'm giving him a little room to grow.
Challenge.
Give him room to grow, and but I do believe if they don't come out hitting on all cylinders, eventually they will. So that's why I'm gonna go under with the points.
I went over as well. Again, I feel like I took a total homer approach on this one. But look, last season, 3 wins.
Yeah.
They were absolutely terrible on both sides of the ball. So I am basically betting on this team getting better. And so I'm taking the over on that. I'm also naturally an optimistic person. I'm also optimistically, like, a lot of hope. So I'm going to hang on to it, even if they don't meet these numbers. When we come back here, we are going to tell you what is trending, and it has to do with Chase Young and the Cowboys. Are they already trembling in their boots?
Chase.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
This summer, get back in the driver's seat. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Like the versatile HR-V or the fun-to-drive CR-V. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the CR-V at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
Players are all on the field getting warmed up. Practice started half an hour late today. We are going to be bringing you as much of training camp as we can. I know I promised you a live feed of it. We're going to be getting that soon, Tana. People are anxious for it. We're trying to work hard for you. Here is what is trending now, though, presented by Bank of America, and the third member of our team, Logan Campbell, brings it to you. And, well, of course, a lot of trending is going to be about Chase Young, and for good reason. Right, Logan?
Well, yesterday the Washington football team had their first full pad practice, and let me tell you, the guys went out there and they went hard. Now, I'm sure you guys all saw this video yesterday because it was trending on Twitter with over 1 million views. It's Chase Young doing a typical 1v1 drill. But I mean, look at that! The guy makes it look so easy. Now, this video sent the NFL Twitter world into an uproar. It had so many retweets, so many comments, so many likes, and even the SB Nation Dallas Cowboys Twitter acknowledged it, quote tweeted it, and said, Chase Young is going to be a problem this year. Head coach Ron Rivera said yesterday after practice that he was extremely pleased with everything that he saw out of Chase Young. And speaking of Coach Rivera, we all know that he came in here to change the culture around, and he is focusing that culture around the young talent that this team has. ESPN came out with an article the other day ranking all of the NFL's teams' talent under 25, and coming in at 11th is the Washington football team. Now, in this article, it included blue chip players, which are fundamental players that have already proven that they are the best at their position. And those 5 players for the Washington football team included Dwayne Haskins, Terry McLaurin, Montez Sweat, Daron Payne, and of course, Chase Young. We'll get things started with the guy who's expected to be the quarterback heading into the 2020 season, Dwayne Haskins. Now, when I was watching practice yesterday, I noticed that Dwayne Haskins had a nice dip in his pass. They were almost all perfectly timed, and they were all on target. Now, Dwayne Haskins even stayed after practice to get a few more reps in because he is putting in the extra work to show everyone that he deserves to be the starting quarterback. Someone that Dwayne Haskins works extremely close with is wide receiver Terry McLaurin. The chemistry that Haskins and McLaurin have together is undeniable. We all know that they work great together, and we are expecting big things from this dynamic duo for the 2020 season. Moving on to the defensive side, Montez Sweat had a solid day yesterday. He won all 3 of his 1v1s, and coach said that he was very pleased with the way that he performed yesterday at practice. Another blue chip player that stood out to me yesterday at practice was Daron Payne. During the 7v7s, Payne blocked up multiple passes, and combined with Sweat, the two of them have 106 tackles and 17 touches on the quarterback from last season. Now, these two are expected to be a dynamic part of this Washington football team's defense. And of course, we can't forget about the number 2 overall draft pick, Chase Young, who was the last player to make this blue chip list. Now, I know I talked about him and everything that he did in practice a little bit earlier on in this segment, but one thing that I wanted to add is that he is expected to lead his class by more than 7 sacks this season. Another thing that Coach Rivera said after practice yesterday is that the Washington football team has a good group of young guys that are exciting to watch. Now, I'm excited when I watch them, and I'm really impressed by everything that I saw yesterday at practice. Julie and Santana, how are you guys feeling about these young players on this Washington football team?
Thank you, Logan. Santana, we saw that video of Chase. You know, somebody says it wasn't very impressive at all because he was just using the guy's momentum against him.
That guy was trying to get out of there, man. He was calling for everybody, mama and somebody else. He was calling for help.
I will say this, the offensive line is going to be better because they're going to be going up against Chase Young and the rest of that defensive front through every single practice. No preseason, but they got some big boys to fight against. Stay with us here on Washington Football Live. We're going to tell you what is coming up for the day.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
This summer, it's time to get back outdoors. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Enjoy the sunshine in the family-friendly Pilot or the rugged Passport. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the Pilot at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
Thanks for joining us today. Practice is underway. It started late. Santana, a good show. We'll be back again tomorrow. Coming up today for the happy hour show, Troy Apke will be joining us. They say he's fast. He's been getting some time with the first team. Going to see what this is all about.
I heard he's been looking good, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks for joining us here on Washington Football Live. For Santana Moss, I'm Julie Donaldson. We'll see you again tomorrow.